So my name is Kalia. I am a sophomore at ASU, and I'm studying special education and elementary education. And then my partner is Gianna. So if she wants to go ahead and introduce herself.
Hi, I hope you guys can hear me. My name is Gianna. I'm a sophomore as well, and I'm studying elementary education.
Yeah. So we did our project on Canyon State Academy, Rite of Passage. And so this is an alternative school that's for students that have been incarcerated. And there's a bunch of different options that they could have gone through, but they chose to go to this school. So it is a boarding school. So they live in, and then they have a bunch of extracurriculars and different activities that they can be part of at this school. And so we did a whole school visit. So it was super interesting. So we'll talk a little bit about what we learned from it and then a little bit more about the school itself. So first off, what we're going to be focusing on, so we'll introduce it, and then why would students choose to go to Rite of Passage? What are the Rite of Passage's goals? What does Rite of Passage offer in comparison to other schools? What are some of the main objectives? And then we have the timeline for the Rite of Passage, and then really just our conclusion. And then, Gianna, do you want to do the intro?
Yeah, so I'll get started. So we visited Rite of Passage School, and this school is an all-boys school. Um, so they have a separate girls' school and then a separate boys' school. The children that attend this school, their education levels vary extremely. Some kids may be a high school student, like age-wise, but then academic-wise, they may be reading at a third grade level or doing math homework that should be for second graders. So observing this extremely interesting because we got to see how these students interact in an actual place where they have to live as well and eat. So these kids, we actually got to see some kids walking around the campus. They had their backpacks on, We saw one class do a demo where they showed kids cooking skills. They were learning how to make a new dish. So yeah, this is an introduction of what Rite of Passage is and what we saw there.
Yeah. And then on our next slide, we have, so why is Rite of Passage beneficial for our society? So it really is a one-on-one direct support for each of these students. They really get to learn and grow within the program, and they get a little bit more of that like I said, one-on-one support, but really like they have adults who are there who support them, who are good role models. And lots of times these individuals might not have those role models in any other school scenario that they've been in or even in their households. So, like Gianna said, they do live on campus. So they have house moms and house dads, and then they kind of take them through their classes and then all of their extracurriculars. And it's all on like one plot of land. And so I think they said that it was on 105 acres. So there's a lot of land for them to be able to go around. They can go out to, they have horses and different livestock that they take care of. They also have a full football stadium or field. They have like soccer. They also learn different activities on how they could benefit their career with trade school. So they do the barber shop so they can learn how to be barbers. They also learn how to make food and then sell that food. And then they also have a little thrift store there. And so they're able to learn how to take money and like sell different things. And so this really encourages these individuals and these students to be able to talk to adults and talk to other people in the community and really just build their network and create a better foundation for their future that they might not be able to in other situations. And it's a good like growing place for them to be, where there's a lot of support and a lot of people that are trying to push them to do better.
Right. So going off of what Kalia said, this school, Rite of Passage, is really designed for these children, right? They want to help them succeed when they're sent off and transitioned into their real life. They want to help these kids have jobs, be ready for when they are sent into the real world, and they might not have these resources as easily accessible to them. So what is rite of passage's goal? And ultimately, it's just to get these students ready for the real world. Like I said, they should be able to have some sort of skills to provide for themselves, and if they have to, maybe their family or other people that are in their life. So I think that's what rite of passage's main goal is.
Yeah. And then what does Rite of Passage have to offer? So, as we kind of mentioned, they have what they call the village. And so the village has a barber shop, so students can learn to become barbers. They learn how to cut and style hair. They also will do a prom and a homecoming once a year. And so all the students can go to the barber shop and get their hair done so it looks cute for their dances. And then there's also a thrift store. So it really encourages community involvement as well, because a lot of people from the community and local area will bring different items into that thrift store. And so the students then will work there. They'll figure out how to stock the store. They know like the prices of it. And then they'll also be there to like offer support for anyone in the community that's shopping there. And then also working with money, paying, like getting change and like taking the change and just having that responsibility of that. And again, also with their dances, they are able to go into this thrift store and pick out their own outfits for what they would want to wear for the dance, which I find really interesting that a lot of schools don't really have like that. They also, when they have graduated out of the program, they'll sometimes go there and let them pick out like a graduation outfit as well. And so it really gives them a sense of like belonging, that they have their own stuff, and that might have been something that they hadn't had in any other situation in their life. There are a lot of students that were from foster care, that were in foster homes, that would go to this program as an alternative. And then also, just depending on what home life looked like, they might have had to leave everything at home and not been able to bring anything back. So it's nice that the thrift store is there, that they're able to still feel human and still feel like they're teenagers and can have that fun that teenagers have of shopping and stuff like that. And then there's also a pretty big athletic program that they have. They do offer a bunch of different sports, from soccer, football, and then also farming. And then me and Gianna, we got to observe a little bit of how, like what they do with the horses. We got to see the big barn that they had, and they have a whole pasture, and so they can go over to the horses, they can ride them, they can talk to them, they can just hang out, and they really learn how to have that companionship with an animal. And I think that they said that some of their horses and their animals are from rescues themselves, and so that really creates another sense of belonging between the two, because they, like, horses are very good at calming down emotions and really relating back and forth. And I know for a lot of inclusion programs, regardless of what inclusion program it is, there will be horses and equestrian, like different aspects of it. And that really helps just like calm down the nerves and helps bond both the horses and the students. And then we just have a little video about the village. So I'm going to play it, but let me know if the sound isn't working and I can try to see if I can do something else.
Have you ever considered dining, shopping, and pampering yourself guilt-free? Well, you can do all three while supporting Arizona's most vulnerable children. Visit the Village at Canyon State, where it takes a whole village to raise a child. You will find school-based enterprises featuring actual business environments where students are trained and prepared for the transition from school to work or college. The Village features a cafe with a cause, a thrift boutique that takes repurposing to a whole new level, and a barber school where practice meets purpose. The Village provides you the opportunity to give promise to the future through the children at Canyon State Academy.
So that was our video. And then next we have the objectives. And then, yeah.
So I can talk about the objectives that we both observed from our rite of passage visit. So the first thing is that rite of passage creates specifically designed instruction for every single one of these students. So no matter what they need, whether it be regarding their behavior, or maybe their family, or maybe their mental health, or whatever, or health issues, whatever it may be, rite of passage uses the resources that they have and the people that they have around them to make the kids have a great experience at rite of passage while they're learning. And then the other objective would be that they want these students to do much more than learning, right? At rite of passage, they want them to see the animals. They want them to join a club or an extracurricular or a sports program or something at their community, so then they can meet people and really feel like that they actually belong there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then a little bit about the timeline of it. So the school was first founded in 1948. And so that was in Queen Creek, Arizona. It started out with, I think, a little bit smaller than they have now. Obviously, just one building. They didn't quite have all of the barns or any of the village that they have. And it was really, their mission was to help at-risk students and children build self-respect and confidence, and then the skills to then be a productive adult. And then in 1995, that's when their athletics program really started taking off. And so they had a big football program, and I think that they won state championship for a few years. And then in 2000, that's when they created the village. And so they really wanted to hone in on academics and then career and technical training and athletics, and all integrated into one. So it was a big community. And they also really wanted to bring in more community involvement to be able to help these students feel more at home and feel like they're being supported regardless of where they're at. And now, present day, the rite of passage continues to try new things with different, for the individuals and also with different businesses that they partner with. They're always trying to encourage the community to really interact with these students that are there and to just make them feel welcome. That way they can go and enter society pretty seamlessly after they graduate out of this program. And then they also are now a designated nonprofit by the state of Arizona. And then for conclusion, overall, like we've been saying, it really just provided us with really valuable insight to a unique structure and a different approach of alternative schools. It's a big institution that's not a typical or traditional special education school. It really serves and facilitates to many different individuals and facing their own challenges. They made that very clear when we went and toured, that no two students are the same at this program. They all have their own individualized schedule. They all have their own individualized classes that they need to take and extracurriculars that they're able to do. And it's really just situational based on the needs of each student, and especially depending on the backgrounds that they came from. And then although it's categorized as a non-inclusive school, since it's technically away from other students, it is successful at incorporating many community aspects and elements into the environment, especially with the local businesses and the students feeling comfortable to be able to have those exchange with people that are from the community and being able to work alongside of them or work with them. And then this is just me and Gianna, just meet the team. And then finally, if you would like to look at any more information, that's their website. It is really interesting, and they have a lot more information about everything that they've done and that they're planning on doing on their website. But does anyone have any questions? No? Okay, perfect. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Kalia. Gianna, great job. Really
Thank you
interesting
so much.
school. Really had no idea that that exists in Queen Creek. And so I don't know if I caught this, but how many students are actually going to the school? Do you know? Is
So there were, I know they told us, but there was quite a lot. Like it was definitely around 200 or so.
okay. So it would be
Yeah.
considered a
Yeah.
smaller
And
school. And
right.
do you know if is it a public charter school or is it completely private?
No, so it's considered a charter school. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
So,
they
but
do.
it also, yeah, it really depends because the funding is very different for each student, really just depending on where they're from. Sometimes the funding will be from the state, sometimes it's from the foster programs. Since they are an inclusive live in, funding really comes from all over. And it was even really challenging for me and Gianna to, I think, understand the full extent of where all of that funding comes from, just because it really is just dependent on each student and their own specific needs. But they do have to be mandated by the court to be able to go to this school. So it's not a school that anyone could just sign up for.
Got it. Thank you, Kalia. And just FYI for our Moroccan friends, foster care or students that are in foster care, it simply means that they have been removed from their home. So there could be a variety of reasons. Either they don't have any biological parents anymore, or for whatever reason, the state decided to sever the rights and they have moved into the foster care system. And so, yeah, I'm not sure what the equivalent would be in Morocco, but it sounds like aside from incarcerated youth, students who have run into trouble with the law, it's also students who are in foster care.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank
And
you.
then they have, oh yeah, sorry. I was just gonna say that they have all of their like one-on-one like support individual like adults that are around them. So they have a whole team that works with them.
Very interesting. Yeah, lovely. Really enjoyed the presentation. And we're right on time. So it's 12:30. So the next group should jump up. I think that
I have
is,
just only one question, if you don't
oh,
mind.
there's a question. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much for your insightful presentation. I would just to ask about the time. I mean, how much time does the students or the students should spend in this school?
Yeah, so we asked them that same question. So again, it really does just depend on how long the court has mandated that they're there. They said typically the turnaround is about a year, so they don't have students that stay there longer than a year, but it also really does just depend. Sometimes they'll be almost out and then something will happen and they'll have to be back in. And so it really just depends, but typically they try to have a pretty quick turnaround. So you're there for a year and then you go back to wherever you can be fully inclusive with schools and other peers.